Greetings, YouTube. In my quest to continue to tweak my mastery setup to kind of be leaning toward two champions, and I'll get to those champions right now. It's been kind of a wild ride to see what the suicide mastery setup is best for, how to consult with people who maybe want a similar build, but they aren't like me. They don't ignore Alliance War. In fact, they're participants in, and Suicide Mastery setups are not for Alliance War. Why is that? Well, while there might be certain champions that may actually benefit, I remember facing an Iceman, a 565, 6200 Iceman that was full suicides. By the time you got him to do the special one, which the whole point of suicides being bad is not only do they drain things like health because of poison, but also the recoil damage. You just eventually have them, if you bait enough specials, kill themselves. But if you're taking a crazy amount of cold snap damage, that actually might overpower your loss of health to where you may not have a chance to even get that Iceman to a special one before you die. And because of that, when you have a champion like Corvus, and he is my main Alliance Quest attacker, it's important for me to not only give him what I call the Dr. Voodoo health retrigger, because at the start of the fight, while he bleeds with the Suicide Mastery, he actually regains health, particularly with the Willpower Mastery complement that I'll be talking about here in a second. But besides that, and really most importantly for my day-to-day grind in all other questing, my favorite champion that I have and that I'm so thankful I finally hunted for and got this year is Omega Red, who also heals because of the bleeds. And the coolest part about having a 6200 565 Omega Red is that when you combine it with the Coagulate Mastery and have at least 1 out of 3, you don't take any damage whatsoever with willpower. You just heal at about 127 per tick is what I'm currently doing. So I just wanted to update you on my mastery setup, because every time I update it, I talk about it, and I get several amazing tips and just feedback in general from the lineup and comments from different summoners who've tried different things. And so this is the new October 2019 edition. Regardless of when you're viewing this, this is when I recorded this. You, of course, also know that by the timestamp below the video. But so I still think that Cruelty is super important to have maxed out, but I have not noticed at all a difference in the precision mastery from 5 to 4. In fact, if you really are in desperate need for another mastery point in your setup, to maybe put another point into something like Deep Wounds or even Assassin, and you don't know where it's going to come from, I highly recommend the Prof. Hoff recommendation to take off a point in precision and apply it elsewhere, because you will not miss it. Besides that, I still have maxed out Glass Cannon. Now, a couple people have said, Prof, I really don't think, for both PI's sake and for overall damage sake, that you need 3 out of 3 in Glass Cannon. I've just run with Glass Cannon for so long maxed that it's really hard for me to take points away from it. So it's maxed. Recoil, of course, stays at 1 out of 3, and then we do have the maxed of both Liquid Courage and Double Edge. And I was asked, Prof, how many units does it take to have that top right set up on the tree? And honestly, it's got to be maybe at least 5,000 units. Somebody, I'm sure, has calculated it, but it's just a crazy amount of units to spend. But at the same time, once you have it unlocked forever, and that's why the best use of your units is Mastery Trees setup. I say that to anybody. Now, defense is different. How did I get to this point? Well, I just really wanted to try maxed out Coagulate, because your champions take 30% less damage from any bleed debuff or bleed passive effect they suffer. So at the beginning of the fight, the problem with maxed out suicides, among many, is that you do suffer a good amount of damage with the bleed, and even champs that can heal themselves like Blade, it's pretty noticeable. And so what I have done in this maxed Coagulate setup is negate quite a bit of the damage I was taking at the start of the fight with bleed. That helps my champions last longer in fights. The only fight that still just with suicide sucks no matter who you use, if you don't have, let's say, the double immunities of like an OG Vision, is Void. Void, it's just there's no way getting around it. Fighting Void on suicides is a nightmare and not something I ever look forward to doing, but it's not worth switching the setup just for that fight. I also have 2 on Stand Your Ground. It's one of those masteries that's super not popular with anybody else, but I tend to like to bait heavies by holding block, and sometimes I'm not quick enough, or I'm reading comments in a live stream and I don't pay attention, and I get the heavy applied on me, and the Stand Your Ground can save me from that uppercut damage and actually give me the chance to counter And so having 2 points in that, not only for the PI, there's a real good PI increase in it for the 2 out of 5, but also just in general the value of the mastery. I still have my block proficiency at 4 out of 4, which really is still giving me a great amount of success by not taking damage on parry, surprisingly. This is the mastery that I admit I probably could take down to 1 out of 3 and not miss it too much, but I just like a little bit of extra health per tick, and your champions do recover 4 health twice per second, and that is, it's nice along with willpower, and there is a pretty significant PI increase with it. But at the same time, I openly recognize that maybe I could take 2 out of 3 of those points and put them in something like Deep Wounds, and maybe I should. I do have that maxed out. It's just been a while since I've run it. Recovery is maxed. That's always a necessity, and so is willpower maxed, and like I said, Coagulate, and there is a big difference in the difference between 3 out of 3 and certainly 0 out of 3. But if you want to just run 1 point in Coagulate to minimize, particularly that Omega Red healing, I still highly recommend it. So as far as proficiencies, this is where I got the points. Super controversial, I know. But I have no points in Petrify and no points in Pacify, and I have not noticed a difference in that at all. I still am running parry at 2 out of 3. Haven't noticed the difference between 2 out of 3 and 1 out of 3 either at all. Dex will always be at 1 out of 3, and then I do have Stupefy maxed. It is the only maxed in proficiencies. So you can see just the pyramid build with the heavy foundation on offense, the middle foundation on defense, and just the sliver of mastery points in proficiencies, and that has worked very well for me. So yes, the setup is geared largely toward my roster, and that is a unique roster that maybe is different than pretty much everybody else, but at the same time, when you're talking about Omega Red, Blade, and Corvus as my main 3 attackers, still particularly with the 565 Ghost Rider, I still do Ghost Rider, Blade, Stark Spidey, and then Omega Red. And believe it or not, even though I get that Omega Red is way better with Sabretooth or Deadpool X-Force, I bring in my 565 6200 Red Hulk, and that is a huge compliment to so many annoying fights, and Omega Red still does fine, still destroys people very quickly, and I'm not, hurting because I don't have Sabretooth or Deadpool X-Force in my squad. So there you have it, YouTube. My goal is to keep this video under 10 minutes, and right now it's under 8, which makes me happy to think I have not wasted your time. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here and just say thank you for continuing to supply me with as much knowledge about my mastery tweaks as I supply you. And if you have watched my videos for a while and maybe you just have never subscribed, I appreciate anyone who subscribes, but also just hitting that like button, letting others know what this setup looks like, and hopefully it'll help some people. Have a good day, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and thank you for supporting my Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel.